If you've ever had dreams that you see yourself back in your old primary school, old secondary school, old college, if you ever had dreams that you see yourself back in your old homes, if you ever had dreams that you were seeing yourself flying, if you ever had dreams that you see yourself with around feces, dirty toilets, if you ever had sex in your dream, if you are fed in your dream, this video is for you. Hello. Okay, so this year has been a very spiritual year for me. It's been a year that God has revealed himself to me. I was born in a Christian household. Well, what I thought was a Christian household. And for many years, up until this year, 2024, I thought I knew who God was. And I did not. I did not. So I'm not going to go into complete depth about how I got where I am right now to make this video, because we're going to be here till tomorrow. But what I am going to say is this. The beginning of the year, I had a dream. I had a dream that I was in a room, and in that room, I remember seeing myself trying to get out of that room. And I couldn't get out of the room. And I heard a voice say, "Do you want to come out of this room?" And I said, "Yes." And then from there, I was given steps of what I needed to do. That room represented bondage. I had been in that room my entire life. My entire life, I had been in that room. But I didn't know. I was in darkness. When you're in darkness, you don't know you're in darkness, because obviously it's dark, you can't see. And I was in darkness. My camera literally just stopped working out of nowhere. But I'm going to share my testimony. So as I said, I'm going to push forward to middle of the year. So when mid 2024 came by, and I kept on seeing, everywhere I was going, I kept on seeing and hearing deliverance. Now, I come from a home whereby my mother is a church hopper till today. We have been to Baptist, Pentecostal, CNS, gospel. There is no church I haven't been to. Methodist. Me and my sisters, we've been a part of almost every type of denominational church I can think of. And that was our childhood. Just, if it's not church hopping, it was priest hopping here, this pastor, that priest. It was just that elder, that wooly. It was always that with my mom. You know, my mom was always looking, basically. So out of all of these churches I've been to, never once have I heard of deliverance. I don't know anything about deliverance. All I knew was at the time was, you know, when you see the videos where somebody is laying their hands on someone and they're speaking in tongues, and you see the person like manifesting, screaming. That's all I knew, literally. So I kept on seeing deliverance. So there's a man named Noah Hines. It was him in particular that I kept on seeing on my YouTube feed. So right now, my YouTube feed is kind of changed, because everything is biblical, everything is Christian. And I never typed in deliverance, I never looked for deliverance, but somehow Noah Hines just kept on popping up on my feed all the time. So I thought to myself, you know what? Let me look into deliverance. So I saw a couple of videos where deliverance ministers were talking about it, you know, how that you can be set free from demons. Now, I know that my background is full of witchcraft in terms of my family. I know my bloodline is tainted with witchcraft. It's from my grandmother, from my father's side. I think this was never a secret in my family. And I just never thought that I was part of it. I knew I was to a certain extent, because my mom would tell me things that happened to me when I was younger. But yeah, I was about to find out how much the bloodline curses are real. So I do a 7-day deliverance from my own. So he has so many videos. We have deliverance against a python demon, witchcraft, generational curses. He has so many deliverance prayers. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to sit in my house for 7 days straight. I'm not going to do nothing, not going to go nowhere, not even going to listen to anything secular, no social media. I did that for 7 whole days. And every day I'll be playing his videos. I'll even go to sleep on his videos. So I started going to the witchcraft, generational curses, bloodline curses, marine kingdom demons. I went in. And it started really slow. So I remember, so it started really slow. So I remember the first day of my deliverance, I remember that I kept on feeling something moving around my lips, like worms. And then I remember I would look and I would always see like shadows. Like imagine like somebody just walked past really quickly. You know that shadow that you would see in your peripheral? I kept on seeing that, but there was no one around in the house. I remember that I could see a fly and I would kill the fly. No windows were open, and then that same position where I killed the fly, another fly would come. There were very weird things, supernatural things happening around for those 7 days. So for the first 5 days, that's how it started to happen. I remember once I would hear voices, and sometimes when the prayer was going on, I'd feel irritated. But I pushed on, and the dreams, Lord of mercy, the dreams were crazy. You would see dreams whereby someone was pulling me out of something. So anyways, I'm going to push forward. So when I got to day 6, now that was the biggest day of my life, and that's when I really knew how real what demons were. So there's a particular video that I put on, and it was from deliverance from the strong man. Now the strong man, oh, that's a demon. The strong man, think of like a triangle, and then you have right at the peak of the triangle, that is where the strong man would be. Underneath the triangle coming down, you would see other demons underneath him who are delegated by the strong man. So when you have the strong man in your life, basically it's like if you have like a stronghold, I always say this, if you have like a stronghold or something, I just can't let go of a relationship, I just can't stop smoking, I just can't stop lying, I just can't stop gambling. If you have something that no matter how much you try, even if you want to so much to stop, you just can't stop, like it's like a stronghold, you're like that with it. Usually behind that you see a strong man. So I had a strong man in my life. And how did I find out? I manifested. So the strong man was playing, just randomly playing. So what it was, I just let videos play while I was doing whatever I wanted to do. But as I said, I was not engaged in anything secular, no music, no anything I was watching was biblical, like the Bible, reading the Bible. And I was in the kitchen, I was washing the plates, and the prayers was just on in the background, as it had been for the past 6 days. And then I remember I just stopped, like I was frozen. And I remember I couldn't move. I just couldn't move. And then I felt something come up inside me like that. And I screamed. I was freaked out. I was thinking, what on earth is going on right now? Now you see the videos are on YouTube. So that particular video, not all these videos, they usually don't have ads, but that particular video had ads. And I was trying to press skip ad. I kid you not. My hand was shaking. To press skip ad, my hand was doing this. And there was something stopping me from pressing. I kid you not. I pushed through and I pressed skip ad. I screamed. It was almost like I started ripping off my clothes. And then I heard a voice. A very deep voice. I'm the only one in the house at this time that said, I am not letting you go. Oh my God. I hear me, my life. I said, Lord. I kept on manifesting. My body started doing these weird contouring things. I remember hissing like a snake, python demon. I remember laughing like a witch, witchcraft. I remember being so tired of the manifestation because they just kept on coming. I was tired. I would have these shivers whereby I would always feel something like that. I would always have them. And I remember I tried to stop myself from manifesting. I tried to stop myself from screaming. I just tried to stop myself. And I remember I felt the presence, something very light and angelic. I felt it right next to me. At this moment, I was sitting on my bed because as I said, I was tired. I felt something very angelic sitting right next to me. And I can almost, it was like an inner audible voice. And I heard, let it go. And I just let my body loose. All of that was happening. Time. I was, oh my gosh. So after this, the day went by, and obviously the next day came along. I did the same thing, but not as much as I did on Saturday. So Sunday was obviously day 7. So when I came out of this by day 8, by day 9, I was still having very bad dreams. You see, I was having dreams whereby I was in water, I saw a mermaid. I was having dreams whereby I saw my ex and we were going out to eat. You see, all of those dreams that I were having were covenants that they were trying to bring back. So basically, during my deliverance, covenants were breaking, agreements were being broken between me and witches and warlocks, and everything from my bloodline was being broken. But then you see, after, they were coming back to renew them, to reestablish themselves, because they weren't trying to leave me. You see, at that particular time, I don't have any of this knowledge. I'm just like, oh, what's going on? So I reach out to Noah Hines. Personally, and I tell him my life, I tell him what's going on. Then he directs me to one of the ministers in these ministries called Stephanie. That is my lifesaver. Love her, Stephanie. So Stephanie gives me a call like a week later, and we go in. I speak to her. I tell her about my not so good business. I tell her about everything that's going on in my life. I tell her about my mom, my dad. We go way back. And we do the prayer. And, long story short, I manifested very, very similarly to how I did it on my own. And the difference was this time, I remember very, very well shouting at her while she was praying for me. And I was shouting at her to tell her to stop praying for me. Can you believe somebody's praying for me to be delivered? And I'm shouting, stop. But it wasn't me. It was the demons that lived inside me. Revelation came, as it always does when you're doing deliverance. Revelation came from the root of all of these demons. And it's not a nice revelation, but revelation is real information, and whatever is not revealed can never be healed. So when my mum had me at 19 years old, very, very, very young. My mum had a traumatic background. Her mother died very young. My mother was pregnant with me at 19 years and gave birth. I think she was pregnant with me at 18 and gave birth to me at 19 years old. My father's father, so my grandfather who has passed now, he was a spiritualist. Voodoo man, juju man, Nigeria, they love to say, if you're doing it for good, you're spiritualist. If you're doing it for bad, you're babalawo, you're voodoo man. Listen, all of that shit is rubbish, yeah? It's all bad. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. All of that ish is rubbish. It's all bad. If the Holy Spirit is not there, then no, it's not good or bad. But anyways, he called himself a spiritualist, according to what my mum said. And when my mum was pregnant with me, he gave her a concoction to drink. And he said, if you drink this concoction, you will give birth very, very easily. There was not going to be, 13, 14, 15 hours labor. The child would come out like, boop, like that. So she drank the concoction that this spiritualist gave her. And my mum said I came up real quick. She said 2 hours in and out, which was great. But you see, here's the thing. This is how the enemy works. Whatever he gives you, he will always take more from you. So my mother, unknowingly to herself, initiated me into witchcraft. That concoction that she drank while I was in her room was a covenant and an agreement that was made between my mum on my own behalf and between the enemy. I've lived a very hard life. I've lived I think all of us, for some point, I've lived a hard life, but I've lived a really hard life that I've hidden a lot. I don't talk about it a lot because, a lot of the things that happened in my life are full of shame and embarrassment. And I've tried so hard and I still keep on trying. And I've had way more failures than I've had successes. And hearing that, and then you're able to go back and look at your life. My mother remarried when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and we had a stepfather, and he was extremely abusive. He would make me and my sisters beat one another, and if we didn't beat each other hard enough, he would beat us. We had a lot of abuse, and then God starts to show me things of how these demons had affected my life. When I was 14 years old, I tried to take my life because of my stepfather at the time. I was nearly raped when I was 16 years old. And my mum chucked me out of the house when I was 14 years old. I became very accustomed to living outside with this auntie, that uncle, just, very, very accustomed. I also got pregnant at 19, generational curse. My sister got pregnant at 19, generational curse. The father of my daughter, one of the biggest mistakes of my entire life. My daughter now doesn't have a father because of that. It's been a very long life. It's been a very hard life that I've lived. Very hard, financially hard, relationships hard. I've dealt with a lot of rejection in my life. A lot of rejection. And then my mother would always tell me, when I was pregnant with you, I wanted to abort you. When I was pregnant with you, I was going to abort you. But she doesn't say it as if she's telling me a story. She says it when I was like she's angry. When I was pregnant, I was going to abort you. I tend to say I wish I had. And, these things, even though you hear them all the time, that doesn't mean that they don't scar. So I had been rejected since I was in her womb. Since she found out that she was pregnant, she had never wanted me. And all my life, I'd always felt like that when it comes to her. She has 4 girls, and out of her 4 girls, me and her, we butt heads the most. I love her and I pray for her every day. Because even my mother right now, she is in bondage. She, as I said in the beginning of this video, she loves to church hop, and now she's in another church that doesn't call on God. They have a different name for God that you would never find in the Bible. Another cult church, as I like to call it. And I pray for my mom every day. I pray for every day that God will reveal himself to her just as he revealed himself to me. So back to my story. So the truth gets revealed. Now I have to learn how to fight. I have to learn how to fight, and I have to learn how to forgive. To forgive my mother, to forgive all the people that have hurt me, even though people that were being used against me. I have to learn how to forgive, because you need to forgive, because if you don't forgive, it leaves space for the enemy. It leaves room for him to still be there. You can't have a hard heart, but only the Lord can help you with this. So then God started showing me things I had done to people. I had to go back and apologize. I had to mend my ways. There was so much spiritual pruning with me, spiritual whereby the Lord was cleaning me. I can say that I was being baptized with the Holy Spirit. And then we had another revelation that came. I had to have another deliverance with Stephanie. God, this was a journey. This was a journey. I had to have another deliverance with Stephanie, and then a revelation came out whereby God was, now blessing me. It says in the book of, hold on, I'm just getting see out. You see, it says in Mark 16:17-18, and these signs shall follow that them that believe in my name shall cast out devils, and they shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. We give God all the glory, because those signs definitely followed in my life from my deliverance. Those signs definitely followed in my life from the baptism with the Holy Spirit. I've almost read the entire Bible. Whoop-de-whoop. Never thought I would ever do that. And I just want to say that if you are on the verge of, if you are seeking deliverance, or you are on a journey of deliverance, one of the key things that you're going to need is forgiveness. Because some of these demons that enter into you, majority of them are bloodline. They're generational. Covenants that were made before you were conceived, before you were here. Covenants that were even made on your behalf, unbeknown to you. When these revelations come out, it's very easy to have a hard heart. It's very easy to blame, because then you look at your life and think of all the mistakes and all the wrong turnings that you've gone on, that you were let down there. The things that were taken from you. Possibly your womb, for not being able to have a baby, relationships, marriages, jobs, so many things. You have to pray to God to help you to have a heart of forgiveness. Because you see, you're casting these demons out of you. But if you hold on to that anger and that pain and that bitterness, you're giving them, it's almost as though you've opened the door for them to come right back in. And you can only do this with the help of the Holy Spirit. You do not have the ability to do it on your own. You can only do this with the help of the Holy Spirit. Deliverance is a progressive journey. It's a journey, because you have to imagine, if you are 40 years old, 35, 52, and you've had these demons in your life, they took 52 years to come to build. They have like a family. There's a gathering. They're not just going to go out at once. That's what I said. It's a progressive journey. It's progressive. But the Lord will open your eyes to, He will open your eyes to who you are. He will reveal to you who you are. God will reveal to you who you really are. Because a lot of us have this assumption that we are better than we are. We all have it. And we're not. It says also in the Bible that our righteousness is as filthy rags to God. So what we think is amazing and good, it usually isn't. Because with the same mouth you use to bless someone, to help someone, to say great things about them, is the same mouth you would use to cuss someone out, curse someone if they try to pull up in front of you, like you're driving road rage. So we're not always as good as we are. Majority of the time we're not. I was not as good as I was. As I said, He was revealing to me onto people I had to go and apologize to. I had to swallow pride and apologize to a lot of people. I apologized to a lot of people. I had to ask for forgiveness for people who I couldn't speak to anymore because I didn't have their contact details. There was a lot. You're not just going to have these demons cast out of you and no work and that's it, done, we're done now. No, sweetie. You got to do a lot of work too. And you got to do so much work too. You have to understand the God that you are serving, because a lot of us don't know God. We don't know God. We don't know God. We think we know God because we go to church. We know the Bible through the priest, through the pastor, through the vicar. We think we know it through them by what they say to us. Maybe one little verse, one little passage. We don't know who God is. Unless you get in that word, you will never know who God is. Because a lot of people say, oh no, but I feel God. I feel the presence of God. But how are you able to know that if it's the presence of God or the presence of the enemy? How can you tell which one it is? How will you know? Do you know the fruits of the Spirit? You don't know these things unless you go into the word. You will never know these things unless you go into the word. And the thing is, the enemy preys on your ignorance. He preys on your ignorance. So the more ignorant you are to the word of the Lord, you're easy bait. You're easy bait. You will easily get manipulated. He will easily, because it said that he will come as an angel of light. He will deceive you. You see, the enemy doesn't just come and deceive you. It doesn't just come like that. He comes like a thief in the night. How will a thief in the night come? They will be very, very quiet because they don't want to get caught. Because they know if they get caught, the police is going to come, there's going to be a ruckus, is going to happen. So why would the enemy just come? Like, no, he ain't going to do that. And that's how I was used my entire life. That's why I was in the room. That's why I had the dream whereby I was in the room. That was me. Room, bondage. It indicates bondage. That's what it is, bondage. You ain't coming out of this room. That room is the room that he has created for you. So you need to get in your word so you can know God's personality. We all have personalities. The enemy has personality. God has a personality. You need to understand God's personality. You can only do it if you know your word. You can only do it if you're in your word. There's no other way. There's no two ways about it. Going to church is amazing, but you have to have an intimate relationship with God. You have to. And if you're telling me, yeah, but I pray. Listen, I prayed too. I prayed for years too. I didn't just start praying last year. I prayed all my life. All my life. And everything that was happening was still happening in my life while I was still praying. While I was still fasting. So, all of that doesn't... If you're not in your word, well, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You're doing a massive disservice to yourself. If you don't see how God worked with Daniel, if you don't see how God worked with even Adam and Eve, if you don't understand, because see, the word of the Lord is sometimes it can be very confusing, but it's like that so you can study. You got to study. It's not so obvious. You got to study. You got to even you have to ask for help from the Holy Spirit to understand. All of this brings an intimate relationship. Praying is amazing. Fasting is amazing. God said we're supposed to do all of those things, but we're not just supposed to do all of those things. You have to have time for him. You have to create time for him. Whereby the way that you create time to go to work, to do this, there's got to be times, days, weeks for him and for him alone. It goes very, very deep. But if you want to be delivered from these demons and stay delivered, that's the key, staying delivered. Because these demons are going to come back. They're going to come back in your dreams. As I said, when you have dreams that you're in water, swimming, eating, being fed, having sex, celebrities, in a room, back in your old primary school, all of these are demonic dreams. All of these are demonic dreams, and all of these dreams are re-establishing the covenants. The covenants that were broken when the demon was cast out, they're coming to like, yeah, we're going to come back. You see, it says in the Bible, whereby Jesus Christ said that when these demons come out, they're going to walk in dry places. And they're going to try and come back. And they're going to come back with seven more that were more stronger than the first. So this one said the key is to stay delivered. You are not going to stay delivered if you go back to the life you lived prior. If you go back to masturbating, lying, cheating, doing fraudulent things, anything that is outside of the word of the Lord. But how will you even know if you're going outside the word of the Lord if you're not in your word? How will you know? You will never know. Staying delivered is key, because these demons, they're just waiting to come back in. They're just waiting to wreak havoc. They're mad. They've lived inside you for umpteen years. You became their body. You're their host. You're their house. And now they evacuated. Now they're evicted. Where they going? That's why I said they wander in dry places. The enemy's like a lion looking for who he can devour. He can't find nobody. He's coming right back home. You are home. So staying delivered is more than just going to church, hearing a sermon. No, sweetie, do those things. But don't you give up in that word. Don't you give up understanding that word. As I said, I'm almost done reading the Bible. And we're going to go again. Here we're going to go again. Because every time you read a passage or a verse or a chapter, what you learnt this time, you always learn something else that time. And that was the way it was supposed to be. So that is my short story, my deliverance journey. And yeah, we give God the glory.